Also, the Army's kind of going woke.
Oh man.
Oh man.
And this is the thing we've been talking about, right, man? It's like
inclusion.
Can we just focus on what fucking works? Can we focus on what works? Right. I want the Army to be good at killing the enemy. I don't give a fuck about how diverse they are.
Right. Imagine if the UFC had to have diversity.
Joe Rogan has been going off on woke culture recently, just absolutely destroying them over and over and over again. It seems like every single episode of the Joe Rogan Experience features Joe Rogan in some way, just destroying these woke lefties out there and just destroying the woke cult in general. This one is Joe Rogan going off on the woke military. Joe Rogan and his guests both going off on the woke military and just obliterating them. There's nothing that you can say to, combat what Joe Rogan is saying here. If you're one of these woke lefties who are supporting the military nowadays, Joe Rogan makes some great points that we'll go over here in 1 second. Let's get into this clip here from the Joe Rogan Experience of Joe Rogan and his guest here absolutely destroying the fact that the United States military has gone just so far woke that it's definitely hurting the quality of the people inside. Let's check this out.
Also, the Army's kind of going woke.
Oh man.
Oh man.
And this is the thing we've been talking about, right, man? It's like
inclusion.
Can we just focus on what fucking works? Can we focus on what works? Right. I want the Army to be good at killing the enemy. I don't give a fuck about how diverse they are.
Right. Imagine if the UFC had to have diversity. Do you know what a problem that would be?
Yeah.
If we had to have a certain amount of trans folks, a certain amount of
that would work well in the women's division.
If you only had if you had numbers you had to achieve, it wasn't the best fighters.
Yeah.
It was just who meets certain criteria. There's going to be a bunch of people.
Can you imagine if they did that for anything, which they are, is the irony of it. Imagine if they did that for college campuses. Oh wait, they are. There's Asian students that are way more well qualified than other minority groups to get into certain Ivy League schools that are being turned down simply because they're Asian. If that's not racism, then I don't know what is. And I'm not even talking about the racism against white people. There's minority groups that are being, the Asian people primarily, because they are disproportionately getting into these Ivy League schools and these top tier colleges. They're being turned down more than anyone, and even though they're much more well qualified than other people of other colors. And that's just nuts. And that's just one field. That's just colleges. There's also, obviously, we're seeing new memos that get leaked for different companies all the time. These airlines and, Boeing going through all of their turmoil and their controversies recently because of this stuff, this DEI stuff. There's all kinds of, Coca-Cola recently just sent out a memo trying to get people to tone down their whiteness. That they're hiring people based on skin color and sexuality and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hilarious when you think of something like the WWE or, MMA or the UFC, hiring people based on skin color or sexuality or something like that. If they had to hit certain diversity quotas, yeah, people will get killed. But there's also travesties happening in other areas because of this DEI, because of this diversity nonsense that is being pushed. And the military is no exception. It's definitely watering down the quality of the military, no doubt about it.
They get murdered.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get thrown in with the real ones. There's going to be a certain percentage of people that are just there because they're awesome, then a certain percentage of people that they have to hire in order to meet these DEI standards.
Joe, Jamie, can I ask a favour, man? Would you mind bringing up RAF Diversity UK? You're going to...
It's a beautiful story.
This is a beautiful story.
What happened?
Mate, this is...
Just look up for...
Hey, this guy brings up something that I don't even know what he's talking about, but it's something that's really interesting as well, is that I have some Canadian friends, I have some UK friends, and they care a whole lot less about this than we do. And what I mean by that is the citizens, like the people, they're not there talking about it on social media. Maybe there's some here and there, like we'll see Piers Morgan talk about it sometimes, but there's not a ton of YouTube channels like there are for the United States, going anti-woke and stuff like that. The citizens of those countries don't care as much as we do. So the government and the institutions, they're able to push this stuff even further. So their militaries are completely watered down with this, trying to get people in there of different sexualities, different races, and getting fat people in there and stuff like that, out of shape people who just shouldn't qualify in the first place. They're trying their best to get them in there. And because their citizens just don't care as much as we do on these issues and being anti-woke and pushing back, they're able to push a lot further and just absolutely ruin these institutions and these corporations and, ruin their whole military and everything.
useless male white pilots.
Yeah.
Look that one up.
Yeah.
Useless male white pilots.
Yeah.
Was that a quote?
Yeah, that's a quote
Yeah.
from their report. They were like, you know what? We're not hiring any more white men to fly planes.
What
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Definitely don't hire the people that are the best at it.
No. Why
Whether
would
they're
you?
white or black or Asian.
There
No,
you go.
just don't hire
If you enjoy content like this, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
white ones. Royal Air Force unlawfully discriminated against white male recruits in bid to boost diversity. Dude, you want the best. Whoever the fuck they are, whether they're white or South American or Indian, or you want the best.
Who cares?
No one cares. You want people who fly the plane.
Especially like this is one of the ones that sets people off is the airline pilots, because you have people's lives in your hands, like a lot of them, like hundreds of them. You have them in your hands. So if you're hiring people who aren't the best at their job on purpose, just simply because they are a certain color, dude, I mean, it's going to lead to disaster. Like, we're already seeing a lot of controversies happen about it with doors flying off of planes and stuff like that, but it's going to end in disaster. Like, I've never been a huge fan of flying my whole life, but nowadays, I mean, it's kind of just, I'm just not going to fly right now until this stuff kind of goes away, if it ever does go away. You know, because of stuff like this. Who knows? Like, these are only the things that we see in the public eye that get exposed. Who knows what's happening behind the scenes? Who knows who's getting hired and who's not getting hired? Who's going to be flying these planes that I'm going to be getting on? I don't have a clue. It could be a straight up diversity hire that has no idea what they're doing. And the person who's hiring them, they don't have to get on the plane. They're not flying with that pilot. So they're cool. They're good. I have to go get on that plane and fly with that pilot. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not putting myself in that situation. That's the scariest one.
It's the best.
Right.
Only the best.
And this is like controversial now.
It's a war plane.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Imagine if, like, again, it goes back to the MMA fighters. Imagine if, like, you know, like the UK had one representative that was supposed to be fighting Francis Ngannou. You know what I'm saying?
Don't
like,
pick me.
You know, you have one person who's supposed to step up and fight that guy, and well, it says the right move is to, you know, send in a non-binary woman.
Yeah.
Because they don't get represented in the UFC. Like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about? She's representing the UK. We need someone who can beat him.
Man, it comes
Silly.
to a point, and this is
Or at least someone who could survive. You know, you put these, like, dude, I mean, even the people, some of the heads of the military, you put them in the ring or, you know, in the octagon with Francis Ngannou, they're going to die, you know, and they're supposed to lead. They're supposed to be leaders in the military. I don't know if you can't see this thumbnail, but like this person here, that's supposed to lead our military. Just insane what this world has become.
where we talk about the university campus, right? You can have these demented ideas on a university campus, and all they are is an exercise in intellectual masturbation when you come down to it, when you break it down to its purest sense, right? Mm-hmm. And in a way, that's fine. What's wrong with having stupid ideas and debating and believing it? But the problem is when you start to implement it in the real world, where there is such a thing as reality,
right?
That's when the rubber hits the road and things really start going wrong.
That's when things go Western. That's what we like to call it out here.
Right.
Things got Western.
Right. I will say as well, I think, you know, we've been talking about social media. I think social media is a big part of this. I don't know if you've seen the graphs, but basically what happens in 2013, 2014, newspaper articles just start, all this social justice bullshit, it just goes through the sky. And not just in the US and the UK, it's Qatar, it's every country in the world. So I think social media rewards ideas that sound good.
It does, but it also awards echo chambers.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big part of it. Just like we're talking about universities.
Yeah, and if they kind of gatekeep people from being able to get high up in these social media companies, unless they have these certain views, then of course, if they control the algorithms, and they're going to push these certain views to everyone more than everything else, because there's no one who, nobody is going to get high up enough to control the algorithm that has not these crazy woke views, because they get gate kept out of it. So it's kind of doomed. And I think we see it more in the United States than they see it in other countries. Like for some reason, even though Canada's way worse off, when I talk to my Canadian friends, they're kind of just like not worried about it. They're kind of just like, yeah, we don't really care. It's all good. And I just don't think they see it as much as we do. I think it's pushed down our throats a whole lot more because we do push back on it. So they have to push it down our throats. They have to indoctrinate us and brainwash us over and over again, to the point where the leaders of the military who are standing on stage and giving speeches on behalf of the military are queer, non-binary, and also fat, and shouldn't even be in the military because they're fat, because they can't do 5 push-ups in a row probably. And that's the people who are leading our military and our country. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking about Joe Rogan and his guest here. Response to the military going woke, response to the woke cult. I think Joe Rogan has been doing an absolutely great job recently destroying the woke cult. But let me know what you guys think in the comments about this episode and these clips here from the Joe Rogan Experience. If you enjoy content like this, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.